Hey, what's up? Welcome. You are listening to TC the G Radio, Season 4, Episode 11, the final episode of Season 4. I am TC the G, broadcasting directly from Tijuana, Baja California. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a great time. The title of today's episode, Get In Where You Fit In. Okay, so I decided to speak about this topic today because I was thinking about the things that we sometimes do in order to fit in, with our surroundings, with the people that we have around. We all have our own personal, personalities, right? And sometimes we tend, for example, me at the new job, right? Sometimes, or just overall, right? You're meeting new people, or similar situations, situations where you're brand new, right? Like nobody knows you, right? So it's very natural, of course, for us to want to fit in because, of course, we want to be part of our human family, right? At the end of the day, we are all social creatures. Humans are social creatures. We need each other to survive, right? One human cannot do everything. We cannot do the farming, the picking, the raising the children, right? We all have to work as a team in order to survive, right? In order to survive. So sometimes when we are at a new place, we check out the spot, we check out the people, we check out the vibes. And me personally, I have noticed it in myself that at times, I won't say a certain thing because, what are they going to say, And it makes sense at times, but a lot of the time, sometimes we do these things because we want to be accepted, So we do need to we have to evaluate what it is that we're trying to say or what it is that we're trying to do. And evaluate if it's something that aligns with our truth, with our values. Because just staying quiet just because we feel like the person listening or the people, listening, they're not going to accept what we have to say or they're going to reject what we have to say. We cannot be scared of that, we cannot be scared of that, especially if it's your truth, if it's something that you value, that you hold dear to yourself, like, what, it could be anything, not, standing up for kids' rights, right? Protecting them, making sure that they're safe and that people don't hurt them, right? Like, example of that, right? Let's say you want to say something about that, but you're around people who don't really care about kids. Hopefully there's no people like that around you, but let's say that happens, right? And you are in a situation, you are caught between two places, fitting in or standing up for yourself and actually, standing out, It's a tough decision to make, but we have to make sure that we make the decision that aligns with ourselves, with your inner self, with your core, your values, what you value in life. When it comes to work, there are a lot of politics and there are a lot of personalities, and I experienced this firsthand being working at a call center with a lot of agents that have different personalities, and I had to manage them and making sure that that they all get the messages that the company has to give to them, and in a neutral way, I guess you can say, that in a way that everybody will accept the message and not take it personal, right? So we do have to have some kind of I guess we do have to take other people in consideration, and what they feel and what they think, but not to the point where we're going to completely shut ourselves down and what we have to say and our thinking. It cannot get to that point where you're completely gonna shut down who you are just so you don't get rejected by other people. And that's the biggest killer of dreams, I believe. You cannot be scared of what people are gonna say, what they're gonna think. Of course, we cannot be reckless. That's why I keep saying things that align with your inner self, with your values, with your core. Because of course there's sometimes where we have to check ourselves and the things that we're saying. Of course we don't want to say dumb shit. Of course there's a line, there's a limit, there's a balance that we have to strike there. But overall, if it's your personal, like just your personal opinions, just your personal values, you should be able to voice that, and other people should be able to accept that and not judge you for it. Of course, that's in an ideal world, right? In a lot of places, people don't really think like that. They may take it personal and things like that, But at the end of the day, that's their problem. If they take it personal, that's their problem, because we all have our own personal truth, and we all have the right to speak that truth. Whether people like it or not, whether they agree with it or not, that's not really our truth. Is not really anybody else's business, but ours. So it needs to be respected. So if somebody comes along and feels like they don't respect it, there's something wrong with that person. Definitely. Because, and I don't mean this like, oh, you're horrible. Maybe what I mean is that they have to fix that, right? There's something that they have to fix, their perspective on things. Because again, everybody deserves respect of how they think, how they feel, experiences, how they see life, all of that stuff. Everybody has their own inner world, so we cannot go around like trying to assert our own personal views onto other people's lives, and we cannot allow other people to do the same thing to us either. It does take a lot of courage, and it does take balls, to stand up for yourself, but I think it's very necessary that we learn that. It's a very necessary skill, because I have noticed, working with a lot of people, that some people stay quiet, some people stay quiet, and you can tell that it wears them down, that it chips at them. I always encourage them to speak up, speak up, whatever you have in your mind, speak up. Sometimes they're scared that I say that, they think that I'm playing with them, or that I'm just trying to catch them to see what they say. And it's like, no, that's not really my get down. I want them to express themselves. And then if I feel like what they're saying is not going to land too well with the boss, I'll let them know. I'll let the person know, like, hey, this might be a little bit too tough for the boss. Maybe you want to word it this way, maybe you want to word it that way, like a mediator, between the employee and the boss. Because at the end of the day, I know I work for the company, but the company needs people. The company needs those people para que saquen el jale, The company cannot be just me, or just seeing things their way, because it's not like they need the employees, is what I'm trying to say here. It's what I'm trying to say here. The company needs the employees. So the employees need to use that to their advantage, and whatever they need to speak, speak, especially if it's something unfair, Again, there's way of laying things down and presenting them to the bosses, because like I mentioned to you guys on the last episode, some bosses are just out of control, they're just way out of their head, but it doesn't mean that you cannot speak to them. Maybe they were having a bad day, maybe, they're human too, so you never know, but at the end of the day, you should always be confident enough in what you have to say. And sometimes it may take practice, you may have to practice if this is not something that's like, if your personality is not like that, the stand-up kind of personality, you will have to practice, and that's okay. Practice, because practice makes perfect. I also had to practice, my background with my family. I was really pretty much shut down from being able to speak up, so I had to learn it. Of course, there's fire in my personality either way. So it's not like, I'm not like, I wasn't like a completely shy person. But, overall, it would take practice, because it's a change in personality. It's a change in outlook. So you would have to, practice to make it perfect, to build the courage to speak up. At the beginning, your voice may shake. You may not get all of the words out. Sometimes you may even cry because of the frustration that you're trying to get the words out and you're not able to because you haven't been able to for so many years, but it's okay. It's one step at a time. One step at a time. Practice, practice, practice. Speak up for yourself because nobody else is going to care for you as much as you would care for yourself. At the end of the day, yes, we have family, we have friends, of course, but the reality of things is that the reality of things is that everybody is here to take care of themselves, and in a respectful way, of course, I have to take care of myself, we all have to take care of ourselves, and we cannot take personally what other people do overall. Let's say they don't understand us. We cannot take that personal. It's up to us to make it clear, to make it known our point of view. Of course, respectfully, but it's not there. The fact that they cannot, let's say they don't understand us. Okay, that's fine. We cannot take that personal because not everybody is in our mind. People are not mind readers. Sometimes we do have to spell it out for them, a lot of the times, because again, they are not mind readers. They are not us. That person is not me. So whatever I'm trying to say, whatever situation I'm going through that I'm trying to express, they're not going to know. It's going to be up to me to express it, to let it be known, to stand up for myself. It's up to me. Because again, they're not mind readers, And there are people in our life, hopefully there is people in your life and in my life that care about us genuinely, not just trying to get something out of us. But the majority of the people, they're still on the way to emotional maturity, That's just the reality of things. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Maturity takes a lot. It's a long journey. And we need to also have patience for those people, and mainly for ourselves, again, because though if you're going to start practicing and standing up for yourself, again, don't let the beginning stages of you practicing get you down. See it as a triumph. Hey, I tried it today. I tried it. But next time, take notes. I have to take notes myself as well. You have to take notes. Hey, I did this. Next time I will, I'm going to, maybe add another sentence, to what I wanted to say. You don't have to rush into it. Take your time. Do little by little, because you have to be gentle with yourself and your growth and your future. We cannot just ram it in there and expect things to go right away. It takes time. Everything takes time. Just like when you plant a seed, that seed, in order for it to grow into a tree, into fruit, it takes time. You have to water it. You have to come visit it. You have to, talk to it, give it love. The same thing with us. We are a little plant as well, and we need to hear all those positive words. And if they're not coming from other people, they need to come from us. You need to talk to yourself. Even if some people, oh, you're crazy. No, you're not crazy. You're just trying to rewire your brain. You're trying to rewire your brain to think better things, to see life in a different light than what you have been seeing it as. And, for the better, for growth. So it is very, very important to do that, And today I was talking to one of the girls at work, and she was telling me that she does like positive affirmations and things like that. And she was telling me, oh, when I tell my husband about this, he thinks I'm crazy because he thinks that, it's just like mumbo jumbo. And I told him, it's science. Science backs this up. Is you're rewiring your brain to start thinking differently, because some of us, I was raised in the hood, we don't always think the best things. We think almost, you can say, the worst things, and we're always thinking of the worst outcome, the worst case scenario kind of thing. So it is and it's subconscious, we don't even think about it, because that's how we have been programmed, pretty much. We have to reprogram ourselves into this better version, into thinking better, into having better thoughts, and seeing life in a different light, in a more brighter light, right? We have to train ourselves, because the programming, oh my gosh, guys, today's like, I'm so tired from work, I can barely speak. So we had to reprogram ourselves, our brain. And it takes time. You have to reprogram your computer, your PC, your chip, your brain. It takes time. Even a hacker has to go in there and spend time on it. We have to hack our brain and create new connections and new wirings, new ways of thinking. And that's what I was telling the girl. Maybe your husband doesn't get it, but it's backed up by science, and she appreciated that I told her that, because now somebody so close to you telling you that you sound crazy, I believe it didn't feel so good to her, like comforting, especially coming from somebody that you love. And I told her, he just doesn't understand, the way she was explaining it to me. I told her, I think he's trying to help you, because she said that he was telling her, like, oh, don't do that, you're positive anyway, and I told him, and that's why I told her, like, maybe, it sounds like he's trying to help, he's trying to help, but in reality, the brain is the brain. It's science, the brain is a computer. Whatever we put in, whatever images we have seen with our eyes, it gets stored in our brain, in our memories, and just like a computer, it will play back, if you click on the file, it will play back. And you can only play the files that you have in the computer. You cannot play files that are not inside the computer, right? So if all the files that we have since we're little are just hood pictures, things going wrong, people, the worst things, the worst case scenarios, then that's all we have available in our archive, in our brain archive, right? So we need to start adding new files in there, files of hope, of life, of love, and start deleting the other files, and just continue to replay the new files, the hope files, the love files. Continue to click on those, keep playing those until the PC, your brain PC, deletes the other ones, forgets about the other ones. They become so old, so outdated, those files, that they're like so dusty that you don't even, they will eventually end up being erased, because now you have all these new files of hope and love. We have to just keep pushing forward, we just have to keep pushing forward, doing our best every single day. Don't give up. You can do it. You got this, okay? You got this. Be you. The best version of you, though, the best version of you. That's the key word there, the best version of you. And again, it doesn't mean perfect. Like I've told you guys before, it doesn't mean perfect. It just means that we're on our way, we're on our way, and we're humble enough and honest enough to admit our mistakes. I do want to take the time to thank you guys for joining me this season 4. I appreciate every single one of you guys. It was great. I really love doing the podcast. It gets me to talk. I think I'm going to start next season. It looks like I might start doing like actual video. I'm kind of like done doing just the audio, but we'll see, we'll see how things unfold. At this point, I'm going to start focusing on, I'm going to finish that EP mixtape. I don't know what it be. I don't know what the official name of it would be. The official name of it, what it would be, because it's just a 4-track project. But I'm going to finish that. And after that, I'm just going to start releasing videos, just videos, only videos. I'm not going to do any more tracks. I'm just going to start releasing videos. So do stay tuned for that, guys and ladies. I'm just going to be releasing videos so you guys can watch me in action. So thank you so much for tuning in to TCDG Radio. I hope you enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts on Get In Where You Fit In? Let me know. Comment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay in the loop. Also, connect with me on social media to get more of me and my music. My social media and contact information are in the video's description. Again, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and for allowing me to share this time with you. Take care. Saludos.